Jennifer with Bay at Birth. I am a doula and a birth educator here in Lower Alabama, and I wanted to take some time to show you how to make a weighted baby doll for your classes. What I use these for in my classes are swaddling techniques. We practice baby wearing. You can get Moby wraps or bubble wraps on Mercari or eBay for anywhere from $10 to $15. So I have gradually been accumulating those for us to practice with. I normally have 3 or 4 couples in my classes, but this time I had a 5th couple join and I needed to make another baby doll. So I thought I would take advantage of this and show you how I do it. When I first made them, I made them for around $18 each, and I found a tutorial online. It wasn't a video, but it was a very well-written article, and I have not been able to find it again since. So I thought this might be useful for some other people. So next, I'm going to show you how we get started, and I should have a picture with all the supplies you'll need as well. My intention is to talk about the supplies that we need as I go along, as well as having the supplies listed separately for you to look at. The doll that I use is called My Sweet Love. You can get it from Walmart in the big bin. So if you go in the toy aisle that has the baby dolls that are on the walls, there's usually a bin either at the end of the aisle or in the middle of the aisle that just has loose baby dolls. This is one of those baby dolls you'll find in there. It's a My Sweet Love. It's a 20-inch long doll, so it's about the size of a newborn. Obviously, these heads are a little bit bigger than what a newborn's head would be. So I always have to preface this in my classes so the parents know your baby's head's not really gonna be this big, plus it's gonna mold, so don't worry about that part. But otherwise, the babies are pretty true to size for a newborn, which is why I like it. One of the other reasons that this one is really helpful, it's only $9.97, yay. But it also has a zip tie that is holding the head on. So what you'll have to do, and this is really helpful when it comes time to stuff your baby doll, what you'll have to do is kind of maneuver this zip tie to the little opening that's right there until we can get to it with a, whatever this tool is, I can't think of the name of it, a wire cutter. So I'm going to pause this just for a second while I get that ready for you. Something that I've discovered is that this is one of the hardest parts of putting this doll together, is getting this zip tie cut, because it can be really hard to get to. So they've made everything tight to try to keep the doll's head on. So something I have found that helps is to take a tiny little screwdriver and stick it up underneath there so that you can make the plastic part of the zip tie exposed so you can get a wire cutter in there. So we'll see if I have done a good job with that. I always feel bad doing this to a doll, but it's worth it. You might have to just snip a little bit of it at a time. This does take some finagling. Putting the zip tie back on at the end is much easier, and hopefully I won't hurt myself. I have to try it from a different angle. Again, that's like I said, this is the hardest part. I may edit some of this out for you so you don't have to watch it all. Whoa, got a wild hair there. Now, I also have not put one of these dolls together in a while. So if I stumble along the way, please forgive me. Almost have it. There we go. Okay, I've made several cuts. Sorry, we lost her baby's head there. I've made several cuts to get that head to come off. Let me retrieve it. Okay, something I forgot to tell you that you need that I didn't show in that picture is one pantyhose knee high. So you can buy a box of maybe 6 pairs and you'll have plenty because you only need 1 per doll. This is gonna go inside of the doll's head. So we'll kind of like make a little pouch inside the doll's head. And what's nice about this is you can stretch it around the neck of the baby doll so it will stay open for you. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour poly beads into this pouch that we make. The poly beads are poly pellets. I had never heard of them before making this baby doll. You can get these at craft stores, but they're great for filling up dolls and little bean bags and stuff like that. I got this at Hobby Lobby, $29.99. $29.99 is the price tag. But in case you didn't know, you can always get a coupon. So if you go online and look for Hobby Lobby coupons. They always have a 40% off any one item coupon. So that's what I did for this. So instead of paying $33, I paid $19 or $20, something like that. And you can see I've already made 4 dolls out of this, and look at how much I have left. I still have a lot. So I probably could at least get 1 more doll, maybe even a 6th doll out of that pack. So what we're gonna do is pour these poly beads. So if you put it in something like a Pyrex that has a spout, this will be easier. The goal is to fill the baby's head to halfway or more before we tie this off. And you may have to like shake it to settle it every now and then because the pantyhose will fill up and they need to have time to expand. So the reason we do this is because we want the baby's head to be weighted like a real baby's head. So we're going to try to put the zip tie on at the end where it's a little on the floppy side, like a newborn's, excuse me, like a newborn's head actually would be. And I've never really measured how much that is. I've put maybe 3/4 a cup in so far, something like that. And it can be helpful. You can't always tell while this is still stretched how much of the head you actually have full. So you may have to like take it apart and kind of see what it looks like in there. Yeah, I need to put more in there. So we want the head at least half full. So I'll pour some more. The other thing that I really like about these baby dolls is that they have a little bottom on them, so they'll sit up straight and it feels a little more realistic. Another thing about these dolls is that they have them they have Caucasian baby dolls, they have black baby dolls. I think they're supposed to have some ones that look Asian, but I haven't been able to find them at our Walmart. We just have the black ones and the white ones, but it's nice to have a variety in our classes. So right now I have 2 of each. Oops, okay. These things can get a little messy. It can take you a while to, needs a little more. Okay, I am going to stop this so you don't have to watch me fill all of this. Okay, so I have this. I can look in there and I can see that, yeah, the head's a little more than halfway full of these beads. So all I'm gonna do is tie this off. Just nice and snug, and I'm gonna stick it back down in there. So now my head is weighted, feels pretty heavy, and I'm just gonna set that aside for the moment. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to remove the stuffing out of this doll. We're gonna reuse most of this, but you might need a little extra, so that's why I had some polyfill in the picture of the supplies that you need. Okay, so what we have here is an empty shell of a doll, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take these poly pellets and we are going to pour about 1/8 of a cup into each foot and into each hand, and then we're going to stuff polyfill behind it. So this can be a little tricky, and if you want to start with the feet and wait to stuff the hands, you can do that. Like you can fill the feet and then stuff the legs and stuff the rest of the body before you pour. But you kind of have to work your way down to where the foot is, and that's what you should be able to see. So we're aiming for that little hole. So that can be a little tricky as well to get it all in there. You can pour directly from this, or if you have something with a little spout, you can do that. But you do have to pour it kind of slowly to get it all to go in the hole. That doesn't feel like much. I might aim for a hole closer to 1/4 of a cup. You just kind of shake it to get all those beads to go down in there. So that gives some weight to the feet. And then I'm going to stuff some polyfill down in there. Now, one of the things that I had on the list was this stick. And I like to use this stick to stuff the polyfill down in the holes, just so those poly beads stay in place and they aren't going to be like leaking out of the feet. So I'll stuff some down inside of that hole in the foot and then stuff some more outside of the foot too. So I'm going to pause the video while I get the feet ready. Okay, I'm back. So I decided to go ahead and stuff both feet and both hands. They have between 1/8 and 1/4 cup of poly beads inside of them, and then I stuffed a whole bunch of polyfill in those holes too to try to keep them in place. So I'm going to work on the bottom half of the baby, and this is a little tricky because you have all this material to deal with, but what we're going to do is just start stuffing the legs. So we're just going to start putting a bunch of polyfill in, and then one of the things that I had on the list was some that I had in the picture, and I'll put on the list, were some loose river rock. Now the river rocks that I get for these dolls, I get at the Dollar Tree, so it's $1. You get these packs come in packs of 2 pounds, which works out really nicely. I'm going to keep it inside the netting so it will keep it contained inside my baby's body. They have different rocks to pick from, but try to get something with smooth river rocks so you don't have pointy stuff sticking out through your baby's body. The idea is that we'll have enough polyfill around it that you wouldn't be able to feel the pointy stuff anyway, but sometimes you do. So it is nice to have some loose rocks, so that, especially some bigger ones, so that as you're filling these legs up with stuffing, if you want to give a little extra weight, you can just stick a bigger rock inside of there to give it a little extra weight. So what we're going to do, I'm going to keep stuffing. It'd be nice if these dolls had zippers all along the back, wouldn't it? That'd make it a lot easier to stuff them. So I've got this one leg almost completely stuffed, and I might stick a heavier rock inside of there, kind of down in the middle of that polyfill, just to give it a little extra padding, give it a little extra weight, I mean. So we'll do some more stuffing in that leg. Believe it or not, you do actually need a little extra stuffing. You would think that if you're going to replace some of the baby's stuffing with rocks, that you wouldn't need any extra, but you actually do. So that's one leg. That leg's getting kind of full. I'm going to do the same thing to the other. Get her little arms away. Now these dolls obviously aren't going to be super sturdy once they're finished. I mean, they're pretty substantial dolls, but these $10 babies weren't made to be 5 to 6 pounds when they're done. So they could rip. I haven't had mine rip yet. They don't get used often enough. I don't have any little kids here that want to play with them. But just, you know, when you're handling them out, just pass the whole body. Don't hand it to someone by the arm, because we don't want the arms to rip off or anything. Let's see if I can find, sorry about that. Let's see if I can find a bigger rock to stick. That's about the same as the other one, to stick in this other leg. I'm gonna kind of stick it down there in the middle. Now, if you would like your baby's knees to bend, to be a little more flexible, if you want to be able to show how the knees can bend for being placed inside of a carrier or a wrap or something like that, that's what these extra zip ties are for. So I've got, these are 14 inches long. I probably didn't really need to get them this long. They just need to be long enough to go around the baby's neck easily when you're putting the head back on. So what you can do is you can take the zip tie and put it around the baby's knee. And we're gonna create a knee joint. I don't ever tighten it completely until I get both sides done, so I kind of have a better idea of, I wanna make sure I get them even and not too tight. I'm gonna stuff this leg a little bit more before I put the zip tie on there. These babies are so fun when they're done. The first one that I made, I was so excited about it. I took it to church to show it off, but I just walked around with it for a while. And everyone was wondering where that baby came from, because they hadn't seen that baby before. That was fun. I miss having littles around my house too. I like to walk around the house with these babies when I'm getting ready for classes. It just brings back good memories. Okay, so my zip ties are at about the same place. Maybe put that one a little higher. And there is a seam on the inside. Make them a little bit. That way I kind of have some knees. That's pretty good. A little bit tighter, just so they're about the same. And then you can use the wire cutters to cut them as close to that thing as you can, to get that out of your way. I've tried to find clothes that will fit these baby dolls, and maybe I just haven't really tried that hard, but I've got newborn size one-piece things, and they just don't fit quite right. I may need to get preemie size onesies to try to fit the babies, but these babies come with pretty cute clothes, so we've just been leaving them on. You can put that back behind the baby's knees if you like. So now the baby has a little knee joint, so they can bend their knees a little bit better. And what we would do from here is we would proceed to stuff. Okay, so what I've done is I have gone ahead and stuffed the rest of the baby up to about here. So I've tried to put ample stuffing in that bottom. And what I'm kind of trying to do is create a little nest, if you can call it that, if that makes sense, for this bag of rocks. So obviously I don't want this cardboard tag on there, so I'm going to take that off. Okay, so this bag of rocks, I'm going to leave it inside the netting, and this will be fun to see how we can get this in here. So you have to kind of narrow it to get it to go in to start with, because it's a little fatter than the opening, and then kind of jiggle its way down. Feels like there's another zip tie inside of this. Oh, I never pulled that zip tie out. Okay, well, this will be fun to see if I can get it out. Okay, so I have the rocks inside of my baby doll, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to make sure that I've got stuffing all the way around it, because I don't want to be able to feel the rocks from the outside of the baby's body. I just wanna feel stuffing. So put ample stuffing all around it while it's sitting there, but this baby's already feeling quite a bit heavier. The goal is to get to where when you put this baby on a scale, you can use a postage scale, or if you have a kitchen scale or something like that, that the baby will weigh somewhere around 5 pounds on the scale, because this baby is not actually holding its weight. It's not moving around, holding its arms up or anything like that. It's dead weight. So even though this baby technically weighs 5 pounds, it's gonna feel like it weighs more. And it feels pretty close to a 6 or 7 pound baby, what it would feel like. Okay, it's still a little rocky right here, so I'm gonna put some more around that side. It's a little tricky getting everything just right, but it sure is fun when it's done. They're a lot of fun. Okay, my baby's feeling pretty substantial. That's good. Okay, so what we're gonna do from here is we're gonna proceed to stuff the rest of the arms. I'm not gonna put any zip ties for the elbow joints. You can if you wanted to, but we're just gonna stuff up through here. I might stick a couple more bigger rocks in each arm, 1 or 2 bigger rocks in each arm throughout the stuffing, just kind of help distribute the weight a little bit. So I'll be right back with that. Okay, so I had to do a little bit of digging to get the zip tie out. So the zip tie, when you cut it originally, make sure you keep a hold of one end, maybe with a you need those pliers or something so you can pull it out easily, because I actually forgot about it. And I'm having to pull it out right now, and it's actually kind of getting caught up on this material at the end, so I'll deal with that later, but don't forget to take your zip tie out. Okay, so where we are right now, just poke myself in the eye, is this baby's pretty much stuffed. Looks a little bit like a He-Man for right now, so I need to put a little more filling in here. So I'll put a little more filling in the front and under the arms. I don't want it to look like a big muscle baby, but it does need to look like it's healthy. Okay. That looks better. Okay, so when we get ready to put this head back on, and you know what, if your baby doesn't turn out exactly 5 pounds, it's okay, because all babies are a little bit different. So I have a feeling this baby's gonna be a little bit heavier than my other dolls, and that's good, because they all should be a little bit different, but they all end up being pretty close to the same. when it all comes down to it at the end. They all have the 2-pound rocks in the middle and a rock in each leg and a rock in each arm. So we have the poly beads in the baby's head. We're also going to stuff the baby's head with some polyfill. So this is part of where your extra polyfill goes and why you need a little extra, because we don't want those poly beads just rolling around in there either. So we'll stuff the head with some polyfill before we put it back on. And this is where your extra zip tie is going to come in. So I got a nice heavy head now. If I remember correctly, I think they said that you want to try to put your beads in the front of the baby's head so the baby's head flops forward. But whatever you need to do to make your baby's head heavy, I'm sure will be fine. So I have a little bit more filling to do here, and then I'm gonna have to work to try to get the rest of the zip tie out. So I'm gonna pause this and come right back. So what I have done here, I have stuffed the baby with some more polyfill, and I managed to get that other zip tie out. And then all I've done is I've taken a fresh zip tie and I've stuck it inside of this casing here for the neck. Sometimes it gets caught on the little folded over section of the material that's at the end there. This one has done pretty well. So I'm gonna get it ready, but I'm not going to tighten it yet. It can be a little tricky getting the head on. Let me put a little bit more polyfill. This is all the extra polyfill that I needed from that bag. So really, I didn't need much. But I don't want a whole lot of loose things happening here. I do want the baby's neck to be a little flexible, so and drop a little. So that's how you decide how floppy you want your baby's head, is by how tight you make the zip tie. So this can be a little tricky. So I'm gonna see this little groove around the baby. I accidentally paused my video with my elbow. So this little groove right here is where we're gonna try to get the zip tie to go. And so I've got it in there, but I don't have it closed yet. So what we're gonna do is stick our baby's head in there so that the zip tie is gonna be right around there. This is where it might be easier if your baby's on your lap. Okay, maybe I do need to get the zip tie kind of closed a little bit better first. So we get it to where it's slightly, but not completely closed. So I still have a little wiggle room with it. So I'm gonna stick the baby's head in there, and I'm gonna try to align this up, baby's head straight. If your zip tie is not super tight, then your baby can still move its head from side to side a little bit. So I'm going to tighten it a little bit at a time and just make sure that it's staying in the groove. You need to make it a little bit tighter. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah. This baby, I think, is heavier than the babies I've had before. What's nice about it is you can still kind of maneuver some of the stuffing around a little bit if it feels like the distribution isn't quite right. So as you see, this baby's head is pretty floppy, which is nice. I might make it a little bit tighter, but I do like to be able to turn the baby's head so that when we are doing baby wearing, we can show how baby's head needs to be turned. So the other nice thing about this is that you can use these dolls to practice breastfeeding positions, and however you like it. So make this head as floppy as you want. If that's a little too floppy for your taste, you could put a little extra stuffing in there to give the baby a little more of a substantial neck, a little stronger neck there. And you can make your zip tie a little looser. I might make mine just a little bit tighter. That feels pretty good. So all you'd have left to do then is to cut the zip tie and try to tuck it in there, and then dress your baby doll. So it's really sweet baby doll. They feel very lifelike. I've enjoyed using these dolls a lot. If anyone has any questions, or they might like to check me out, I am online at beitbirth.com. It's beitbirth.com. I have lots of links there. Like I said, I am local to Southern Alabama, so I am in the Mobile area, but I do take clients and teach parents from all around here, Baldwin County, lower Mississippi, so the other side of the bay, and the eastern side and the western side, but mostly in the Mobile and Daphne areas. So you can find me there. You can also find me on Instagram at BayetBirth. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Hope you've enjoyed this and hope this will be helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. BayetBirth@gmail.com. Have a great day.